will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Here we are at Fanboy. We're watching the Cantina Club. You crush your enemies.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Cantina Club. We are back this week to do a wrap up on House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Season 3. This is going to be episodes 7 and 8. We have, I think correct me if I'm wrong, guys, we have one more season after this. They said it was a 4-season show. So this will be the wrap up of the penultimate season. So as usual, we're just going to kind of jump into it, and I'm going to kind of turn things over to Professor Gundark. Oh, and by the way, of course, yes, I am Carillion Trader, your host. That is Gundark, the Earless Wonder. She was not able to be with us last time because she was having those ears removed.
Yep.
And then we have our resident Rhodian Garrido down there.
They grow back.
Yes,
They do.
they always. That's why she has to periodically go.
It's one of the Gundark things that happens.
Exactly. So yeah, so let's. I'm going to turn it over to Professor Gundark and let her kind of lead the charge on our discussion here. And this is spoilers, by the way. This is spoilers.
Yes,
so,
many spoilers.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it yet, don't watch this.
There be spoilers beyond this point.
People put scenes from the episodes spoilers all over the internet within a couple of hours of the thing airing.
It used to be a few days.
Yeah,
now it's like within hours. Yeah.
Oh, so and so's death. There it is, right here. Right on my Facebook feed. It's like, come on, somebody mark this. All right.
Okay,
anyway.
let's start with a quick roundabout of just overall reaction, not specifics. How do you feel about these last final episodes of the season compared to the earlier parts of the season? And then we can start talking about the specifics within each episode. And I'm going to start with Carillion.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I felt like I felt like this was a better season ender the last two episodes than last season in particular. Because I think we kind of talked about that. We feel like they kind of cut
last season was a letdown kind of.
Yeah.
They cut it short. They should have had the battle that started this season at the end of last season. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about.
And they just magically at the end of last season had those two characters come together for a meeting for no reason. Right. Like, how did this happen? It's so weird.
Exactly.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And so yeah, ultimately I did like the end of this season better than earlier previous seasons. And I thought I had some really, aha moments and wow, rewind and watch it again moments for me anyway, which we'll get into, things dealing with dragons, of course. I know Gundar got her wish for more dragon action in in episode 7 for sure. I really enjoyed a lot of that, as well as the return of Sunfire. And there was just some amazing, cool developments, I thought. And I just felt like this was a solid wrap up to this season with still an interesting setup for the final season as well. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Cool. Greedo, how about you?
Yeah. Yes, I overall thought it was 2 pretty good episodes back to back. I kind of wish the couple right before that had been more like those.
Yeah. Agreed.
I've been listening to some different opinions and stuff on the internet while I was at work, and I know I was actually working, but it seems a lot of certain people think like 1 or 2 battles is too many and they just don't want to see anymore. Right. But I love the battles, and the one was so epic in this last episode and it didn't even really start until after the episode that I would have liked to have seen a few more small battles, but I would love to know the significance of them. A lot of times we just came in at the end of a battle, like when they introduced the Winterwolves, and I would like to see these people scheming against each other. I know a lot of people don't find strategies and stuff interesting, but I do. When there's pieces on the board, you want to hear how they're going to use their cavalry, and they addressed that a little bit in this. But still, there wasn't much in the way of like brilliant tactics, I felt like. And I would like to know what differentiates some of these characters, because in war, that's when people step up and are discovered, or when they turn the tide in a battle that's supposed to be a foregone conclusion by some clever tactic, or they use the landscape that they know, and like home field advantage or whatever. I like the interesting parts of stuff like that where you break it down a little, not where you have to waste the whole season on it.
Hmm.
But I felt like there was a few too many conversations that treaded the same ground. But
Yeah.
for these two episodes, I kind of felt like, yeah, we're going the right way. I'll get into some issues I had as we go, but that final episode reminded me of why I watch shows like this because
Right.
I mean, there's just so few chances for you to turn on a movie or a show and just, see the people pouring boiling oil over the battlements and, stuff we saw in Ivanhoe, in the
Yeah.
late
Yeah.
50s or 60s, whenever that movie was, and they had those great siege scenes where you're
Yeah.
like, wow, they really threw real people into this. Um, you don't get that scale a lot of times from this without it feeling, kind of CGI, but it's just fun. I mean, it's just there's something that thrills in me to that. And I love it when the big dogs in armor cross paths and they stop and look at each other and it's on,
Yeah.
and they're champion. I like it because they're champions of something. I
Right.
love it when champions clash. I love seeing the underlings and the common soldiers clash and what they're fighting for and what they
Yeah.
think is, I love all that stuff and so I think this show went more for themes that were more drama and melodrama based than militaristic medieval actual warfare based.
Yeah.
They went more for the culture shock of everything. I would have liked to have seen more of what was going on in the soldiers' heads and why they're doing things. And I would have liked some backstory a little bit, not too much on the Winter Wolves to know why they're so eager to die. I think I figured it out, just based on my knowledge. But anyway, well, I should stop talking. I thought they were great, overall
Mhm.
great. There was
Okay.
some stuff that I had few scenes I had real issues with, but overall it's great.
Okay, well, I had the same feeling as you guys. I like this a lot better, especially Burrito. You said that the last couple episodes before this kind of dragged. That's really what I thought. Is that by the time we got to 4 episodes of mostly just conversations, it was the last 2 episodes were really seemed more slow to me, not as well paced. The conversations didn't stand out as much, and it was good
Some of
to
the
get.
some of the subplots really weren't necessary either.
Yeah,
Like the whole Feast of Traders, that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Where did
yeah,
that
Yeah.
go? Really? I
It
mean,
never
what?
really did. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
like
it,
just
it
they
was
just
it.
it's
It
like they
was
felt
more.
like they had to create some sort of anxiety,
Well,
to
that
Yeah,
go through for
actually
them.
that
And
was that was like they were taking something from the book and plugging it in there to,
but it
and
didn't contribute to the Rhaenys
no, yeah,
insanity theme, and it felt like it was bullets that just bounced off Daemon. I mean, it upset him.
yeah.
He was
yeah,
pissed, and that may have contributed to his overall attitude for this. But let's get real. He was always going to choose violence. He's waking up every day and
Yeah.
choosing violence, except for his brief bookish period where he was living in the tower, reading
I don't
every
know
book he
how
came
he
across.
survived that period.
Right. He was a different man. It's like he was the
but
unreformed, reformed Damon. But yeah,
But
anyway.
I really love these episodes, but largely because of the action sequences. Although there were some wonderful, I thought the conflicts, especially in the last episode, the character conflicts and the conversations really became real. And I got the feeling at the end of this last episode that just about everything now is a wild card. No, nobody, I can't count on the loyalties of just about anybody anymore. I just don't know. Even though I've read the book, I'm like, oh my God, everything seems like it's up for grabs for next season, which is a kind of cool feeling.
Mhm.
And I thought that would make a good lead into next season. But why don't we talk about that first episode
Yeah.
first? It's called The Dragon in Winter. I'm
It
not
should have been
exactly
called
sure
Destroy All
why.
Monsters.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I
I
was
know,
thinking the whole
especially the
time
Dragon
during that battle.
Smackdown. But before
Yeah.
we talk about the action, the centerpiece kind of action sequence between the dragons in that episode, I want to ask you guys about Helena's dreams because that becomes important by the time we get to the end of the finale. Um, and we messaged about this after watching
Yeah,
that
I was
episode
very
because it
curious about what you guys thought about it.
yeah, it opens with a series of dreams that she had. Well, she has no, opens with one dream, and then she has another series of dreams later in the episodes. And then the first dream, she sees a white mare, or she calls it a gray mare because white horses are referred to as grays.
Yeah.
But she sees a gray mare that is hitched to a wagon in front of the door of King's Landing. It looked like it's getting ready to go out the gate. And then the gate opens into all this golden light, and she hears Rhaenyra yelling at her, trying to make her wake up, and then Rhaenyra browbeats her about, what do you know? You know, all I want you to do is tell me that I am legitimate. You know, it just, the way Rhaenyra treats her is horrible. And then the other dream has the white mare again, multiple scenes. I think there's the scene of her and her, the most important one, I think, is the one where she's with her children in what looks like a farm landscape. Because she had told her mother a couple episodes ago, her mother was like, if you were free of all this, what would you want to do? And she said, I think I'd like to raise chickens. And so they're feeding chickens, you know, and it looks like it's on a farm. And then an eclipse begins, and
but one of the children there, I think, is dead, right?
One of the children is not born yet.
So it was the one that survived. It was the twin that survived, or the one that survived.
Yes, and then the girl
okay.
Yeah, there's an older girl.
I thought one of them was. I thought she might be in the afterlife with her dead child that was murdered by Damon Stubbs.
No, I think that's the unborn baby.
Okay.
Although it could
that
be
makes
that,
sense.
but she's supposed to be pregnant, you know, and her decision, I think, to kill herself is all motivated by that. But what do you make, especially of that last dream with the white mare and this? It looks like snow starts to fall and eclipse comes.
Right. Yeah, it has the whole the eclipse, and then it ends up with a snowfall and all that.
And how does all that contribute to her committing suicide?
I know I was, when we were messaging about it last week, I was basically saying that I thought it was her removing herself from the stress of that situation into a better place. But I thought that the better place may have been an afterlife, you know, where she no longer has these troubles. Because I think, honestly, she can't imagine of a place in that world where she would be okay at this point because of everything that's going on with her, you know. I don't think she sees a way out. And I think maybe the only way out is an afterlife, and that could have, you know, eventually led to her taking her own life.
Because that's what she says to Rhaenyra. She says, everything now in this place is ugly. You know, you've become ugly.
Right.
And you think that life just means not being dead.
Right.
You know, and I thought that was an interesting comment. So it's like, it almost... And
it's like saying winning is not losing.
Right. Yeah. All winning is not losing.
Right.
It really makes her decision more like it has agency to it. It's like a choice that might even be more heroic than in the book. And I'll talk in a minute about what they say in the book, because I read it. I reread it. But yeah, it seems like it's leading up to her decision. The only way to claim that life is to make this decision to leave this one, you know. And the white mare, of course, like this classic image of the what is it, the four horsemen of the apocalypse? Is that the mare of death, or the horse of death? And I think we mentioned that it recalled the white horse that came into King's Landing to Arya when King's Landing was burned at the end of Game of Thrones. So that seemed like, to me, that was deliberate. I think when the snow starts falling, what got me too was not only is there like the foreshadowing of the possible end of this world, this life, with the coming of winter, and maybe that's the meaning of the dragon and winter in the title, with the coming of the Night King in the future, you know, and all that. But it reminded me of, if you're referring back to the white horse in King's Landing at the end of Game of Thrones, it appears when all the ash is falling from the sky that looks like snow.
That's a good point. Yeah, exactly.
And Guido, you mentioned something about connecting it with the dragons. Do you remember what you said? Because I thought it was real interesting.
I don't. I say a lot of dumb shit. I don't remember any of it.
You said that this was even, I reread the sections of this from the book the other night, and there's some scene in it where some character says, you can't just saddle a dragon and ride it like you can a horse. And you even said that when we were texting, when we were messaging back and forth. You
Yeah, I
know,
said a horse is another type of thing you can ride besides a dragon. I don't remember what my point
Right.
was, though. I don't
yeah,
remember
and
what my point
and
was,
she's
though.
deliberately given up her dragon.
Hmm.
Oh, and that's the
Right.
other dream I forgot to mention before she
Oh,
sees
she
the
was
kind of,
riding a dragon. Yep.
yeah, she was on her dragon, Dreamfire.
And burning someone. Yep.
Yeah, a whole group of people were coming into the dragon pit, racing towards her, and she yelled out, Dracarys.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I wonder if this decision to commit suicide wasn't also a decision not to become Rhaenyra. Do you see what I mean?
Hmm.
Not
Yes. Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
because she told Rhaenyra in that final conversation too that having dragons changes you.
Right.
Haven't you changed? You know, and now you're ugly. You know, so it's almost like she's giving up that possibility. She recognizes that if she remains in this life, she's
Hmm.
going to be used as a pawn, or her child will be used as a pawn in this whole fight of the dragons. And there's no way to come out of it without being corrupt. You know, there's no way to come out of it unscathed and
Right.
survive, not
And
and
I
be
think
pure.
that she also felt a loss of hope when with her reaction. You know, when she says, "I don't feel any different." You know, she doesn't admit to, like, yes, you're right. It is a little different. It does change. You know, she's like, no, I don't feel any different. I'm
Yeah.
fine. You know, and she's like, yeah, it's corruption and
Yeah, I know. I was
right.
like,
Yeah.
I can't, I
I
can't
know.
say anything more
Yeah.
to you.
I know
Yeah.
we're talking about the vision specifically, but I also think Melisaria's confrontation with her on her way out
Mhm.
the door had a lot to do with her flipping the switch on that decision because she
I think
said,
so.
"You're
Yeah.
never getting out of
Yeah,
here."
yeah.
And
Hmm.
she already knew this, but having someone who's kind
Who's
of like been
close
the
to the queen? Yeah,
who's been the angel on the shoulder of the queen coming
Yeah.
out and saying, "Look, I lost. It's over. The devil on the shoulder is won."
Right.
And this, she already knew this, but having it confirmed and then seeing the cart, and we don't know what Helena saw. She was looking out at King's Landing when the gates opened and the golden light. Golden light can be a lot of things. It can
yeah.
be
Yeah.
sunset, sunrise, or the
Dragon
city
fire.
burning. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dragonfire. Yep.
yeah, any number of things. And but the look on her face said a lot. She was looking back and forth, looking kind of horrified,
Mhm.
um,
Hmm.
in my opinion. So I think she saw other things there. Also, I kind of have some answers to a degree on this because I went searching for some answers on it, and the answers are kind of in spoilers for next season, I think.
Oh,
And
okay.
Oh,
I think there's a good chance she was seeing the immediate future more so than the prophecy of ice and fire, like the winter. I think there's a
Hmm.
winter in the history, like right around the
Right.
corner.
So not
yeah,
not the
yeah.
history
I think the
200 years from
destruction of
now.
this
Yeah.
war ushers in a winter comes in right after that. I think that's one reason why the North is kind of sending their graybeards down to die and stuff
Hmm.
because they know something bad's coming. Because the realm has winters every so often that last
Yeah.
however long, and only the strong survive in the North. But I think some of the events, like the people rushing into the keep or whatever they're doing
Hmm.
there, and as she's saying Dracarys, I think she's seeing stuff that's going to happen in the immediate future, and not necessarily to her. I think it's just like a lot of dreams. You're put in the place of the person you're seeing it through their eyes.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think some of the stuff she's seeing there wasn't necessarily about her, but I do think the white horse and the chickens and all that ties it all, and her kids ties it all together. I don't understand why they made it an emphasis that she would not abort the child to gain her freedom a couple episodes ago, and yet she's willing to kill both herself and the child.
Right.
Um,
That was a bit of a,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a head scratcher for me, but
Hmm.
I also think she's someone who maybe needed to see all this stuff and feel it in her bones to come to the
Before
final
she, yeah.
conclusion. And she probably thought, we're going to be together and whatever happens
Hmm.
next,
Right.
I won't just kill my child.
And that may be the
mm,
visions, that she was saying, like, yes, if I kill myself, we'll have this
mm.
utopian
Yeah.
existence
I
somewhere,
also, I also think
idyllic.
that, I also think her suicide is going to bring dire repercussions on Rhaenyra's
Hmm.
and her standing in the city and stuff.
Agreed.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think it was almost a F you on her way out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Like
In a lot of ways it
you,
was.
I'm leaving my corpse right out here where everybody can see it. You clean up the mess. You know,
Yeah.
you took away all my choices, and now I'm taking away, some of what
And then
your dreams are.
her
Yeah.
tapestry that Rhaenyra picked up had an image of her death, and then of Rhaenyra surrounded by fire and blood
Yeah,
on the throne.
I
I love
think
that Rhaenyra just with the last
yeah,
seconds were
the
so
fact.
cold, where she just closed the window
Yeah,
on
you're
the dead
skipping ahead to
body of
the end
that
of the,
woman.
the end of the last
No,
episode
no,
now.
I want to deal with Helena and get that out of the way so we can deal with the
Yeah, but what
battles
was
and
cool about Rhaenyra questioning her was the tapestry was right there in
yeah,
her
yeah,
hands, and she moved it out of the way, which
yeah,
Right.
shows you the short-sightedness and the
yeah,
inability, the myopic vision that it takes when you're focused on yourself and your ambition, and you miss the details that could save you. That
yeah,
could give you the answers or wisdom you need. Wisdom is nothing to a fool. You never acquire it. It's
Yeah.
completely out of your reach. It might as well be like, snow in the desert. It does you no good.
Hmm.
Um,
yeah,
so, and unfortunately, that's where our main character has gone. Is she's being driven into this corner and trying to scratch her way out, and she doesn't. She cannot differentiate friend from foe anymore,
yeah,
and she can't differentiate when a gift and wisdom is laid right in her lap. She doesn't. She can't tell good counsel from bad.
yeah.
Um, and there was something else I wanted to say about this. I think Helena. I think she's almost the reason her and Allison are friends is because, or have had the close relationship, is because they both have experienced what it's like to be told you have standing and power and not really have
And not
any.
have it.
Yeah.
And Allison has a lot more because she's more clever and has more agency and puts more things into action. She's willing to use the knife. She's every time we've seen
Right.
her in the series when she comes across, even if it seems like an accident, on impulse to defend herself, she'll use the knife. She'll grab the knife. She'll use it. Helena's not really that way. She turns her back on the dragon. She turns her back. She lets the assassins kill her child
Yeah.
because she's just so passive.
Yeah.
She doesn't want it to happen. She's horrified, but she's not that type. She wants to just be a hippie and enjoy nature.
Yeah.
And she's
Right.
put in a position where she's a hostage to fate and to her heritage and everything. And so I think that is ultimately what informs this. Like, my child is going to have my temperament probably, um, or I like to feel that way. That's the
Yeah.
connection she has with the child in the womb. It's like, am I going to put my child through this world that I've had to go through where they're literally holding me down and forcing me to, forcing food down my throat
Hmm.
every day is turning into a nightmare. I have,
I want to say
and
something about the connection with the book, because since you mentioned Messaria's part in turning her, making that decision, because
mhm.
Massaria tells her as she's leaving, don't trust the queen or whatever, and your son will be her hostage and you'll never get away. Well, one thing that gets me about all the online discourse, at least that I've looked at about this series, is that so many people who are book readers, there's so many of them who are so wedded to every little detail in the book that they get really upset when little details are changed.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
I thought that the changes around her suicide in this made it more meaningful in the series, made it more dramatic in the series, because the book, Guido's starting to read it now, and you can testify to this. It's basically just a thumbnail sketch of history, at this period where you've got a maester who's writing it, and he is compiling histories written by all these other people, officials and maesters, and Rhaenyra's fools
There's no
and
poetry
Mushroom.
to it at all.
No, and it's not
Yeah.
it's not dramatized. There's very little dialogue.
It's
It's
very
not,
dry.
yeah, it's not like Game of Thrones. It's a history. And the key is he's compiling all of these histories from different perspectives, and he's trying to figure out, he spends a lot of time talking about which one is more reliable, what do we think actually happened here? And there are many points where he says, well, we just don't even know what happened here.
Mhm.
And so the whole thing is a deeply unreliable narrative. And what I think is cool about this show is that it opens up the gates for all kinds of ways where you can fill in those blanks that are left by
Yeah.
unreliable narration or by incomplete narration. And I think they've done a really good job with a lot of things they've done. And this Helena's death was an example to me of that, because in the book, she actually had a third child, another son, who was a younger son than the son that got executed, the son that got murdered, and they came into her bedchamber and killed her boy. Right. She had a second son, and he escaped. And he ends up being, in the novel, killed much later when people find out who he is, and they end up tearing him apart, fighting over him as who's going to take him to King's Landing, and get the prize or whatever. Oh, it's a horrible death. And what the maester who's writing the book says is that there are different stories about why Helena Minor committed suicide. One of them is that one guy claimed that Massaria had told her about the death of her son, that he had been torn apart, and that motivated it. Another account claimed that she was pregnant from that Massaria had forced her and her mother into a house of prostitution in King's Landing as a punishment, and she got pregnant while she was being used as a prostitute. I love how the show combines that to make it more meaningful, where, yeah, she's pregnant, but it's a secret pregnancy by her husband that would have produced a legitimate heir that would absolutely guarantee there would be no way for her to get out of that system. And so her one moment of agency then is, whereas in the book it sounded more like just madness, she just flung herself off. It was like a deliberate decision that had thought behind it, that really questioned, and like Brito said, threw in the face of Rhaenyra. Like, I made this decision. You think
when people are throwing themselves out of a place from on high, it's not a good place to be, right? I mean, that's the message. Either that or someone murdered them, pushed them.
Yeah.
So either option is just one more sin to lay at Rhaenyra's feet that are going. And what's more sympathetic than we've seen the image of the drowned maiden or her golden locks laid out, impaled on those spikes. I mean, that's a song that's going to make it all around the kingdom.
What gets me about this comparison,
no question who they're going to sympathize with.
The comparison to the book, though, what so many people are mad about, even George R. R. Martin, he published like an infamous blog
Beware
post
the Butterflies.
He's because they eliminated that second son of hers. And I think he felt that was critical for her to commit suicide and then to help turn the realm against Rhaenyra. And so he felt like without that son, it's not going to work. And it's like, give him a chance, they're doctors.
He's married to his ideas. I mean,
of course,
none of us can understand the significance of the 15th person named Aegon and what they did, and how if you combined 3 of those Aegons together, so what?
I'll give you another example.
Years of history.
I'll give you another example that can lead us into the big centerpiece in this episode, so that then we can move on to the second episode. We're moving into the dragons back down. We have Rhaena, who is Daemon's younger daughter, and she's been riding Sheep Stealer, and he's the only one who knows this, except for Jane Eyre, who has allowed her to stay in the Vale kind of secretly. And she started to show herself again and use Sheep Stealer to try to track Vhagar, so that if she could get Vhagar, she could get back on Queen Rhaenyra's good side.
That's funny.
And her father has to come out and confront her, because Jane Eyre sends to him and says, your daughter, she's disobeying, she's showing herself. The conversation that they have in the Eyrie, she says to Daemon, your daughter, there's a myth growing up, or there's a story among the townsfolk that they're saying that Sheep Stealer is now being ridden by a wild girl that lives among sheep and nettles. And in the book, the girl who rides Sheep Stealer is nicknamed Nettles. And all that the maester can tell us is what other people really don't know who she was. All they can say is that she was a girl with dark skin. She was all bedraggled, so they assumed she was poor and she was bastard born. It was probably illegitimate. She got the dragon by feeding it sheep. That's all that they know. And then later in the book, in future chapters, she and Daemon become really close, to where some of the historians think that they might have had an affair. They might have had a romance going. Well, when you adapt that instead to it being his daughter, you get Rhaena, who is like a throwaway character in the book to me, become much more important and in-depth character. And then you add so many layers to Daemon, and you create that conflict between him and his wife over his daughter. And I really begin to feel for him in these final two episodes where he's torn between truly loves these two women, and he's torn between them who have their own crazy obsessions. You know, each of them is taking this obsession to an extreme where they might destroy themselves or destroy others. And he's doing the best he can to maneuver between them. So you get all that kind of drama when you dare to make a little bit of a change that still seems like it could fit into the narrative, that was in the book. So I just think those are great examples of, I love the process of adapting a text. And I think they've been doing a good job.
Here's the thing. People read stuff years in advance. And you imagine it a certain way, and in your mind, it's almost like a kind of an entitlement, like or expectations. We always say, we're Star Wars #1, and what's been the biggest opponent, stick in the mud for Star Wars for 10 years now? Expectations. I feel like, because you have one of the biggest fandoms in the world, but when you have that, you have everyone having their own ideas about, split into camps of, we should have used the EU. No, I don't care about the EU. You have to respect what's canon now and it's like, but anyway, everybody has their own ideas in advance, and then it's very hard to let go, especially when you read something, you're filling in the blanks, especially on something like this, which is almost biblical. You read the Bible, it's like, and they traveled from Canaan to wherever. You have to imagine, your brain fills in all the gaps of what that journey was like, or like when they're lost in the desert or whatever. And so when you see an adaptation, even almost subconsciously, you're rattled when it doesn't even look or feel or smell like you expected it to, or they cast a person. That's one reason why a lot of this uproar about casting and stuff, I kind of understand some of it, because people get attached to the description.
Yeah.
It's like if you did Lord of the Rings and Viggo Mortensen was almost too hot for Aragorn from the description of the book, But he pulled it off. He totally pulled it off. But they originally had Stuart Townsend or somebody who was way too hot, for Aragorn, and way too young. So if he had been the Aragorn in the movie, I would have had a harder time overcoming that. And so I also want to say a couple of things real quick. I think they obviously took this. Is it Reyna? Is that her name? The daughter's storyline, and they using it to illustrate how powerful the addiction to dragon power is.
Yeah.
And it is the equivalent of drugs in a way for the Targaryens. Because the Targaryens are almost like the rock stars. They're like the Rolling Stones. Like the normal drugs in the world have no effect on them. They party, they whore it up, they do everything. Oh yeah, and they're just Keith Richards. They just shake it off and keep going. But the dragon shit gets to them. The dragon shit affects them intimately, and they can't get over it. And I think her mother burned herself with her dragon, which is the ultimate, joined at the hip, like until your dying moment. And the dragon burned her at her request. And she knows this. It's like, to not have a dragon coming from that as your background, I think that affected her self-worth. And also she thought, when she did find one, she thought, this is my destiny. But then the dragon did not. It was a wild dragon, and their bond needed a lot more time and a lot more, and no one was going to cultivate it for her. So she ended up, it's kind of like that kid that goes off, to another city or whatever and gets involved heavily with the drugs, and you're like, boy, what happened to you? I don't even recognize you anymore, And I think Damon even said, well, what have you done to yourself when he saw her?
What do you make of the Dragon Smackdown then of that episode? Because it's instigated by him going to confront Reyna, and then Rhaenyra shows up with Adam, and we have a big action sequence that is not in the book at all. None of that. All of that is added by the adapters because
it was freaking
Reyna
awesome. Add more stuff like that if you're not.
I know. I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome. All the dragons, just their relationships are fascinating to me. How they can sense each other when they're coming, how they call to each other, how they form alliances based on their riders. Like they can somehow emotionally, whatever you want to say. Is it empathetically form connections with other dragons, because they're all related. They're all in the same family. The dragons are just like the Targaryens. So you assume they've been hanging out for a long time and getting along mostly. But then when their riders introduce conflict, suddenly they feed off that emotion. They're like pit bulls or whatever. They say there's no bad pit bull, there's bad owners.
Right.
And when you're trained to fight, but most of the time you're not, and then you're all of a sudden there's all this tension coming from your owner or from your rider, whatever. They may not be owner because it's arguable who's the owner here.
Yeah.
But then I love seeing that tension explode when the dragons start posturing each other and they really want to go at it, and the owner and the riders have to say like, whoa,
they just got to get out of it, and then we should get out of the way, and like Raina's like, you're with me, come on, we got to fly away.
Yeah, but I got news for the riders. They need to look in the mirror because the dragons are reflecting, I think, the inner commands they're giving them until they contradict them with verbal counter commands. I think they're reading, the room, and they're reading the tension between the different riders, and they're wanting to have a go. And so also, they all live in the same caves. There's no telling what kind of grudges they hold, right, against each other.
Absolutely, yeah.
Except for poor Sheep Stealer. Sheep Stealer. Lord Underbite.
It made him so sympathetic especially the moment when Raina jumped on the dragon with Rainier and they were flying away.
It was an intervention.
And he was crying out to his mama, while she was flying away. And I'm like, oh God, that's when I left my dogs at a boarding facility one time. And I look back as I'm being carried away.
I kept hearing, they say, I gotta go to rehab. I say, no. As he's flying away and looking back over his shoulder.
Poor Sheep Stealer. And
I don't understand. I know everybody's afraid of Rhaenyra and her feelings and stuff, and Jace was killed. But Jace was killed by his own decisions. He had his teammates bail him out several times. It's a battle, it's war, it's chaos. Anything can happen. And if you aren't ready for anything to happen and the consequences of anything to happen, so for them to kind of at this point go, oh, it's a wild dragon, it's evil because it inadvertently caused the death of somebody we love. You should get past that, honestly, because if you're not going to blame the rider, the dragon's not really responsible either. It's just doing dragony things. And you need to look at that and say, like, can we train this dragon? Can the other dragons train this dragon? Get it into line? Can we use it? Because we're going to freaking need it. You know?
So
it's another case of just being stupid and emotional when that ship has already sailed. He's a casualty of war, And I know we're figuring out this family drama of there's dishonesty, so the blame is still hanging in the air. Now, you got to resolve that stuff immediately. You got to get it out and lance the boil and get it out in the open and say, this was responsible. And then you can either face your punishment and get it over with, or whatever, earn your way back.
Sheep Stealer's not dead, so he could come. They could, if
Daemon
is able to lure him back,
As soon as Daemon said, "Go with the queen" to the other guy, I knew he was gonna. Even though he told Caraxes kill him, he still didn't really fall.
But I gotta say this for Sheep Stealer, and then we gotta move on. Sheep Stealer knocked Daemon on his ass twice. He knocked him down the first time he tried to approach Rain. He was mad. He just knocked him flat down, almost burning him. And then he knocked him off his dragon when he was about to be killed. So Sheep Stealer performed.
Sheep Stealer fucked up Rhaenyra's dragon, though. Which one is that?
Yes, Syrax,
Syrax, he jumped on Syrax a couple of times. Syrax, fought back, but that was an even fight there until the other dragons got involved, and then it was.
They do need to recruit that. They need to recruit that dragon, like you're saying. So what's good for them. But
I loved every moment of that fight, and
me too.
It was brilliant. And there was one more thing I wanted to point out. At the Eyrie, when Daemon showed up, that started all this. I love the fact that Daemon walked right up to the edge of the door in the sky or whatever. Like there's this whole room there, right? This whole room, he could have hung around. He walked right to the edge and he looked over and he went, huh? Anyway, stood there with his toes dangling over the edge. I was like, this is so. Matt Smith or somebody knew exactly what to do in this setting. That was a good stage direction. That was perfect. And then also wanted to point out whoever the woman was sitting on the throne with the queen or whatever,
Lady Jane.
Lady Jane. I thought that was another case of world building that was very interesting. That was thrown in there just to tantalize you a bit of like, oh, who is this? And aren't they chummy? And just the imperious look and like on both of them and everything. It was like coming across a couple of eagles in their roost up on a high, the way they look down at Damon. Anyway, I thought that whole setting was kind of like, this is interesting. I've had too many scenes of Harrenhal. I want to see some other places.
It's all scenes like that in this last 2 episodes, I think, that make them superior, to the previous ones that just seem to be running their wheels. But so we can get to the final episode, let's just mention at the end of this one, we have the other dragon scene where Egan reclaims Sunfire. Sunfire reveals he's still alive. You want to say anything about
scene, by the way?
Okay, talk about it then, Curly.
I absolutely love that scene, because it's basically it's over. It's absolutely game over at that point. You can literally hear Hudson saying, "It's game over, man. Game over."
Well, when Laris bails, all the rats are off the ship, right? I mean, it's like, look for the rats leaving the ship and Laris. Is Laris around? No, then shit's about to go downhill real fast.
It's about to go down. Right. But yeah, I thought that was a really well done scene. I just thought the whole dichotomy was great between the reaction of the approaching army, the way they were so disdainful of him, and just literally laughing in his face, when he said, "I will not bow to the queen, to the the pretender queen or whatever," and then just the slow. I mean, you kind of figured they kind of drew it out a bit more than they needed to, I think, because you knew pretty much right away when you heard the rumbling in the trees, like, this is his dragon's coming back. But they just kind of made the whole, everybody turning around real slow, kind of drew it out a bit. But I thought it worked. I thought it was a really great scene. And
all the actors delivered on that.
Yeah,
all of the actors did such a good job on that. Absolutely. Even the kind of army that showed up, they were great. Right. The reactions, and I thought of Gundark when the one guy said, "Show us where the gold is, and we'll leave your ears on," or whatever.
Right, you'll die.
We won't pull your ears off.
You'll get both on yours.
That's a Gundark move right there.
And the monologue that Egan had was interesting and leading into the end of the series because he claimed the light of the seven. He said, "I stand before you in the light of the seven," and he calls upon the seven gods, of the current gods of King's Landing, whereas Rhaenyra is going to ultimately turn her back on those gods, claim the old gods of Valyria, like Daemon has been telling her to do. But he comes before them blessed in the light of the seven, the anointed one. I've been resurrected. And so I thought that
great scene. That was a great scene, and he made the most of it without. I mean, he was chewing the scenery, but it was so perfect for the character, and it was so fun, and you could feel like this whole nation of watchers kind of flipping a little on him, it's like when he was just exulting, that he was exulting. Yeah, it's like we'd all love to do that, we'd all love to do that. And there's something about people just allowing themselves to have fun with it, right. and he's so low, so broken. There's nothing left. For him, but when the fortunes change, it's almost like embracing insanity. It's like, I can't believe this happened, but of course it did, and exactly. And I want to say also, who would have thought that one of the just handful of really honorable characters, as far as we can tell, would be a Lannister.
Yes, I know that guy.
I thought, I want this guy. I want this guy. I hated that guy before at this point because he seemed like such a waste. But I'm like, I want this guy on my team, because he stood by, and I love the moment where he stood there with the sword, and the enemy is all focused on him. They don't even notice Aegon at first. They're like, "Oh, you're worth a reward to us. We're looking for you." Yeah, and I loved it when he turned to him and said, "Are you going to leave after all? After I've made my because he's already made a stand. He's already committed." And Aegon's looking behind him like, "Well, I could run. How fast can I run? They don't notice me." And then he turns instead and decides to embrace that speech, which was very kingly, very kingly.
Yeah.
And also very Joker, Riddler, Batman villain also.
So that leads us into the finale, and
I also think some of those soldiers began to flinch back because of his speech, not just because the dragon.
Oh yeah,
not just because I think they had no idea he was there.
No, they didn't know.
And they're like,
no,
because they've been told he's dead, and he looks like hell, but he looks like someone who just walked out of the tomb.
Yeah,
and it's like, I'm here for vengeance or whatever. And I think a bunch of the superstitious soldiers were like, I think that's him,
right?
And he's very convincing. And there's something about dealing with superstition and all people just coming out and embracing the insanity and saying, "Here I am, kill me," and you're like, "What's the catch?" You know, because he knows we can kill him, right? But he's standing there saying, "Strike me down, and the stranger will avenge me," or whatever. That's powerful because
Mhm.
he has nothing. You know, he has nothing to back him up, but he's embracing it and like saying, I have the divine right. And you're like, maybe he does.
Yeah.
You know,
What?
what's
Why
possessing
don't?
him to say this? And then the dragon shows up and there's no, all doubt is erased. It's like, you
Yeah.
should have run faster. Should have run a lot faster.
Right, why don't we use him to move into the next episode? Because we could just deal with him and his brother Eamon first before we get to the Battle of Tumbleton. Even though they meet, I think, a little bit later toward the end of the episode.
Can I say something? We're going to talk about that. Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
This is a scene I did not like.
Okay, why?
Because how? How did this happen? He just shows up on his dragon in Harrenhal when no one else can find is it Aemon? When no one else
Aemon.
can find
Aemon,
Aemon, the
yeah.
whole fucking season, he's sitting there in various states of disrepair. Only a few mercenaries found him, and his mother went and found him immediately, and then his brother went and found him immediately. Well, how did he know out in the forest to go find him in Harrenhal?
Yeah.
It reeked of last season when Alicent just showed up,
I think
when Rhaenyra just showed up at the Scepter,
I
wherever
will
it was,
say that I
Yeah,
think
just so they can have a conversation.
I
You know?
think that before Aemon left, though, I think before Aegon ran away, I think he knew that Aemon was going with Kristen Cole, and their goal was to go to Harrenhal, and Aemon was supposed to take Harrenhal. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
it's rushing it for it's just
there's no way
sloppy
anybody in their right
plotting.
mind would think he wouldn't be with his dragon. That's just the thing that everybody, including him, would assume is like, why would you split ways with your dragon? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But I loved the scene.
Me
I
too.
didn't like the setting of it very much. The special effects kind of looked like they spent all the money elsewhere. But so that kind of, but it did set the table for next season because it affirmed that Aemon is embracing this ancient witch, Harrenhal's wife or whatever,
Yeah,
Harren the Black's wife, and so they're now definitely a team. I think solid, and it also answered my question of like, are we going to have 5, 6 different teams? No, the brothers are going back to their dynamic of only this. I think the Aemon might be kind of changed. We'll have to wait and see, but I could almost see him becoming more devout or something, or because he really did seem consumed by guilt.
Yeah,
And
he did.
I don't know that he's going to repeat those same mistakes in the same way. So, but
and
it
I
was
liked the addition, which is not in the book, of Alice being Heron's
yeah.
the Black's wife, because it gave her a cool backstory that really explains to me why she's involved in all of this. I was wondering why is she so into what's going to happen to Harrenhal? I knew from the book she was supposed to be ancient, she's supposed to be very old, but I couldn't understand what her motives were, and I think I understand her a lot better now.
And I will say too, one thing we as an audience have always loved is we've loved to see the character who's been dragged through the mud and suffered go on a revenge tour. And Aegon, that's what he's doing right now.
Right.
With Sunfire showing up again, Larys was essential to getting him to where he was, but he was also almost like not didn't have enough faith to believe that Sunfire or that destiny was still alive. So it's almost like they had to part ways because Larys's vision was a completely different kind of vision for the future. And Aegon is now becoming a guy that is going to have more loyalists around him than necessarily people telling him what to do. I think he's reclaimed a lot of his, but we saw his character burned to a crisp, rightly or wrongly, then tortured by his brother while he's recovering, tortured by everyone. No one giving a crap about him, none of his family, then just dragging his carcass across the lands and being forced to literally kiss, shoes covered in shit and everything. So I'm not saying it redeems his character by any stretch, but I'm saying we enjoy seeing this because he suffered. He looks like a person who suffered. It's the Count of Monte Cristo. It's the, whatever you want to talk about. And Rhaenyra, we get the feeling, is suffering on her own account.
Yeah.
She's lost her kids, and
driving
that's
herself,
tragic.
but yeah.
But it's from a war she started. It's the consequences
Mm-hmm.
of her actions, and then her inability to protect them or to see their usefulness, or to, she just made some bad decisions that led to that. And of course, so did Aegon. But there's something about the crucible of that dragon fire and everything, and being counted completely out. It is almost like a resurrection, and he's lost his looks, and his dragon lost. They said he had like the prettiest dragon. His dragon looks like a zombie dragon now.
It does, yeah.
But I feel like they're much more effective and dangerous now than they were before. And also, it's giving that actor the chance to just take a big swing at every scene he's
Yeah,
in.
he's wonderful.
And
Yeah.
I think he's winning people over. I
Yeah.
was almost rooting for him, at the end of this, because he had his chance to be petty and evil, and his brother certainly deserved it. We hate him as well. And instead, he's like the kind of bad guy going, why am I not enjoying, being the entitled prick that I used to just love being?
Yeah.
I love when he said, "What's wrong with you? Why aren't you
fight me.
Yeah, what's
with
wrong
you?"
with you? Fight me.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Yeah,
go. Let's go to
exactly.
the last episode that has the big battle at the end.
Mhm.
And the lead into that, we had Lord Corlys kidnapped by Ormond Hightower's
Hang in there,
forces.
Lord Corlys. We thought you were
Yeah,
dead.
yeah,
Yes.
and his finger was sent to his oldest son,
Alan. Mhm.
Alan, and Alan uses it as an opportunity when the Valyrian troops arrive, who Lord Corlys had called upon to come and defend King's Landing. They arrive and they say, "Well, Lord Corlys isn't here anymore. He's taken hostage. We got to go save him. We can't defend King's Landing." And Alan says, "No, he gave orders, and I am his oldest son, and I'm the heir
Right.
to Driftmark." And
Mhm.
from that point, it seems like Alan he's crossed a corner, turned a corner, where he's starting to wholeheartedly support Rhaenyra in order to support his own rise, even
Mhm.
though she would not legitimize him, leading to the Samuel Beckett murder in the cathedral, where,
Right.
where she goes to, for whatever crazy reason, she's gotten to the desperate point where she's demanding everybody show that she's legitimate, and so she's just going to go to the High Septon, who absolutely refused in no uncertain terms to anoint her before.
Yep.
And demand that you do this. But she carried Alan and armed knights with her, I think, knowing that she would have to kill him.
Yeah,
So
I think so too.
all
Yeah.
of that is starting to cross cut to the beginning of that battle. What do you make of the attack on the Alan's turn, the attack on the Septon, and Rhaenyra's change right at the end?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I thought, to me anyway, I thought that was one of the more interesting storyline sort of plot things that they put in earlier, that I was kind of interested to see how it worked out. I honestly thought that was going to be something that lasted a little bit longer, but I did, I 100% expected them to just go in there and kill him, and then she just, like she did, came out and just lied. Yeah, he just anointed me right back there. You didn't see it? Yeah, it just happened. Yeah. So
He died of a stroke of the sword.
Exactly.
But I wonder too. I like how Adam was brought in to confront Alan about his change, and he said the queen is going down a dark path, and so this is already creating another wild card that I feel like Adam's loyalties now for Rhaenyra, and Adam's got a dragon, unlike Alan, are going to come into question, and Bela as well, who's been one of the most loyal characters throughout the series, just goes to Rhaenyra, stands right up to her and says, "You need to go save Lord Corlys, my grandfather." And Rhaenyra's like, "We're going to take over Tumbleton and we'll look for him in the ruins." You're not treating him like you treat everybody. You're just treating us like tools. And when we are no longer useful to you, you abandon us. You only won't abandon me because you need my dragon. That's the last words out of her mouth,
because you need my dragon.
So I just feel like everybody she has counted on who believed in her, she has alienated one after another with her behavior. And it's true that she's used them as tools. Finally, Ulf, we've seen that Ulf has turned, or at least it looked like in the last episode, he was making a deal with Ormond. And I should mention in the end of that previous episode, when they were making their deal together, Ormond told Ulf, I heard about how Prince Damon kicked you in the streets. When we go through this battle, no one will laugh at you anymore when they see what you are. And he says, no, they'll burn. Yeah. And that leads us to what happens at the end of the Battle of Tumbleton, which is something that Ormond should have been listening to.
That's right.
Do we want to go ahead and talk about that battle to wrap up this?
I want to say a couple of things about the Sept real quick. One was how badass was Rhaenyra's new outfit.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And the eye makeup.
And as soon as she showed up in that, I was like, it's over. We're in for some bad bride. And I found it very sad to see how cold-hearted she was towards her remaining son.
Yep.
And very uncharacteristic of her. The makeup and everything made her look less human and more alien.
Yeah.
More like a statue of kind of fierceness. And the way she just callously told her son about, this is why we're important, is because of this prophecy, compared to the way Viserys held it with reverence and true importance. And Rhaenyra is like using it as a justification. It's like, you're going to see a lot of crazy shit today, son, and this is why. You know, it was more like that. It's like, your mom's not insane. I'm doing it for great reasons. But why would you bring your kid? They knew what they were going to do. Why would you bring your kid along for that? She blamed her father for not preparing her properly. And I think she's saying, I'm not going to make the same mistake with this kid. I'm going to hold him in the river by the ankle, so he becomes invincible or whatever. Not to drop on Greek mythology, but, no matter how tumultuous that river is.
She says F Viserys at the beginning of that episode. F my own dad, because I'm tired. I tried to follow his way. I've gotten nowhere.
And look what it's gotten me.
Yeah.
But that's what people do. That's what people do, though, really, is they're looking for people to blame. They will go back to the beginning. Even the person they love, they'll temporarily cuss them. I don't think in her heart of hearts she believes that or anything. But but she's had her hands tied, and she just is not the most capable person of figuring a way out of this maze that she's in. And so she's resorting now to just looking after number one. And if it feels right for me, I'm going to do it. Also, Alan, I'm a big fan of Alan. Like, he's another one of my favorite characters. I'm up to, I don't know any Alan personally. I just know Carillion traders.
Exactly.
But I will say what made this feel consistent for me, even though it was rushed, and I think they could have used a few more scenes that they splurged on Harrenhal with characters like this. But it was rushed. But I've said from the beginning, he made it plain. The actor playing this character made it plain that he is a deep well of anger. It's not just self-righteous anger. There's something very, very angry about him. And he's looking not just to advance, but to satisfy something in that anger that he doesn't even really know what it is. And when he gets permission, when someone unleashes him and tells him this is your target, all that anger comes out and he doesn't think anymore. He acts. That's what he did to the pirate queen lady. Once he had that, just I'm done dealing with you, and he gave himself permission. He went ape shit. And she didn't know I'd hit her, and it's because there's all this frustration and anger in this guy. He doesn't even know what it's from. And so in this episode, I hated to see this turn, but it felt justified to me because I can understand where he's coming from. He is a man who's just looking for somewhere to put all that. And when he finds a leader that says, there's nothing wrong with you, go ahead and use it. And gives him permission. Far too many people are like that. And I think we saw him at the beginning of the season telling his father, I don't want to be on the ship with you. I just want to do my thing.
Do my duty.
Now, and we assumed this was his honor and everything. And part of it was, but part of it is a fear of himself and what he's capable of, I think. And where is this path going to lead me? And I think it's leading him to greatness, but also he's a big dupe at this point because he's always going to be the guy who stabbed the Septon there in front of the gods. And I also love how Rhaenyra was manipulated him with his bloodline when she wasn't willing to validate it in the first freaking place.
Yeah, exactly.
So that struck me as another one of her evil deeds. It's like what a time for her to figure out how to manipulate someone, because she's really bad at it most of the time. As far as deliberately, that's one of the things I like about Rhaenyra is that her machinations are more subtle. She doesn't understand that she's even doing them half the time.
Yeah, yeah.
This one was deliberate because she put on that armor and she's like, I'm going to get my way today.
Yeah.
Hell or high water, no matter what happens, no matter what it costs me. Anyway, and I thought that was a great scene. A ruler with any kind of subtlety or ability to read the room would have brought a load of money to the priest and said, I really think the gods are, giving you new instructions. But they don't have any money.
No, they
got more muscle and swords. And the other thing I want to quickly point out that bothered me about the show, but not really because it's a show, doesn't matter. But Rhaenyra, it was a huge mistake pulling this coup at the church before you even hear back from the battle or what happened.
Yeah.
Now that's the height of arrogance. There should be one thing on her mind: completing that freaking
battle.
taking out Ormond. Taking out, she's so obsessed with Aegon and what he's doing and the legitimacy of her throne that she's taking her eye off the prize and pulling two moves at the same time when they're both are in the air and fortune could totally go against you. You lose your army down there. If they're not coming back victorious or if they're not coming back with plunder or with something to, and you've murdered the priest and you've got Aegon still out there. It's really inviting disaster,
but at least in the show, this is not the same in the book. Daemon's forces vastly outnumber the Hightower forces. That's why Darren and Gwaine are panicking over this huge army.
Everybody thought they were going to win. Everybody thought they were going to win easily, but that doesn't. That's still. I still don't think you pull a move like that.
It is arrogant, especially because I think she's good to rely on her husband Daemon, but she's also relying on Ulf, whom she has denied and mistreated. She thinks she's got two dragons down there, and she's only got Daemon.
It doesn't change the fact that they did it for pacing, and they did it to conclude the season, but it makes no sense because what would have been a home run was to go in and confront the Septon, come out to the people, say, gather together, I have some shit to say. One, I'm your legitimate queen. That's the end of it. Two, we just crushed the entire opposition. And Daemon's and I want you to be ready to fucking parade your asses off and party your asses off when my generals come back through that gate with Ormond's head on a spike and all the Hightowers head on a spike. That's victory. That's when people go, oh shit, I have no choice. All we've got is Aegon as a legend resurrected out there. But if you crush the Hightowers and everybody's it's like good times are coming. The freaking gates are opened again to commerce. We're going to get the money. You announce total victory and you say, I'm the legitimate queen, and this victory proves it. Now she's saying, I'm the legitimate queen. The next day, the messengers show up and say, and they all come back with their ass dragging. It doesn't look good, to people that want to be swayed by signs and a belief in divinity and prophecy, and you have the gods are on your side. You murdered a priest and then you lost a battle you had no business losing,
Okay, let's wrap up with that battle. This obviously was the high point for everybody, wasn't it?
That's incredible. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It was so well filmed.
Yeah,
I loved the Winter Wolves sent him first whenever Daemon found that. And I do love how Daemon honored his wife. He told to his troops, he said, he repeated her words, that her honor must be
Queen's honor must be unassailable or something like that.
Must be her reputation, her moral reputation. You can use that word. I don't associate a concern with morality with Daemon's character. So he says to spare the people of the town.
Daemon is the guy in the Death Star. This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it. He's been that the whole season.
When we parade children onto the walls, and he's like, okay, we'll send the Winter Wolves over the walls instead. But he still has to go up to the gates and burn those gates, and they put a bunch of children. He seems
every single scene in that battle was awesome.
Not all the children, and
all of it was great.
I don't think he's distraught just because he's trying to uphold Rhaenyra's reputation. I think he really doesn't want to burn those children. When two of them are left there, and he's like panicking, like get out of the way. And then finally he's like, okay, I can't do anything about it. Drakkar. for him again. And when he sees the whole battle go south, when he thought he was in his element, that's also something about Matt.
So we can definitively conclude that the
gave
character
us such a sense that he was finally, this is what he's waited for the whole series, and he is finally in his element. He is so powerful and in control of everything, and he just feels so convincing. And to see him then go from that to the shock on his face at the end of that battle, when he's looking around, everything is destroyed. Some other dude on a dragon is destroying everything. His dragon is gone. And some dude is walloping his ass who had called him a babe killer after he had a bunch of babies out in front of the armies.
It was almost like a guy showing up with a subpoena. You've been served. Daemon Targaryen? Oh, you've been served. You remember that time you killed those children? Yeah, we got a case against you here. Here's a warrant out for your arrest in Tumbleton.
But I loved his arc all throughout that battle. I just love the way Matt Smith portrayed all of it. He is the hands down favorite character for me in this series.
Matt Smith deserves whatever awards there are. Yes. They got to just, if they don't have them, they got to make them. And just throw them at him. Award. Just pile up a wagon with them, and he can just take them wherever he wants. And also the actress or the actor for Rhaenyra also she's had to play every single thing across the board in a certain way. You can tell she's heavily constrained by what they want for the vision of the character in every single episode, and you're right there with her the whole time. And so much acting is done with the face with these characters because they're so armored up, they're wearing these period clothes and stuff, and they both do I think everybody does in this show does an incredible job.
Yes, it's got great actors. Okay, and then the other thing to discuss is the death of Ormond Hightower, which is for me the highlight of that game. There were some people I read online that were mad about that one. They felt it was played for laughs, but I couldn't help it.
It worked because I laughed my ass off.
It worked, yeah.
I mean, I was laughing from his reaction. I mean, the actor played it so perfectly. Yeah. He knows we hate his guts. He gave us that. He gave us that ending. A lot of actors might be kind of too proud to play that up correctly. You got to have the right person to say, like, really, that's what you want my character to go out like? I have to do this, but he sold it. I mean, you believe that really happened to him. Exactly. And the undignified ending, and he lost his front teeth just like a meth addict the other at the end. I mean, that whole thing was great. That was such a great death. And then I was laughing already at that part, but then when he said a proper fucking from the north, I was like, this guy needs to be at parties like a clown, making balloon animals. He knows exactly what to say in every situation. This Roddy Ruin or whatever his name was.
Roddy the Ruin, and he was jubilating at his own death when
I thought he was going to pick up. I thought he was going to pick up his other arm and like shove it up there and go, "Here, let me give you a hand," But I love this battle. Told me so much about him, Roddy Ruin, because we weren't told much. I kind of thought he was a little cowardly when he didn't fight Kristen Cole. But I think maybe he just thought Kristen Cole wasn't worth his time, and he was saving himself for this. But the way he plowed right through every obstacle in his path, his own men getting just mowed down, and he went, and just shoved it. Ormond threw his own man at him, and he shoved him out of the way and kept right on. It's like that focus, that single-mindedness, that fierceness was just so
when
awesome
he first got over the wall, he said, "We're over the wall, boys, and we're still alive. You go do this and that. I'm going for Ormond Hightower." Okay, you go do it.
It was great.
But just the moment of him celebrating his impending death, I thought.
The only thing I wish they had done different is when that kid hit him in the shin and he turned around and knocked his skull in with it. I almost wish he had just laughed at him.
Yeah.
And said, "No, hold it like this."
Yeah.
You put your shoulder into it. I wish he had done it like that. Admired the kid for fighting back. That would have been. Yeah, I understand exactly. It was perfectly in character to do what he did and showed you.
Sure.
Again, he knows, he's seen his wars. There's no winning. There's no anybody there is fair game. Especially if they show any sign of he was near a weapon so I had to kill him. But yeah, the how great was the exulting when he saw them. And Ormond was like, "No."
Yeah, he's back there. Yeah. surprise.
Off saying "fuck you too" and then burning it.
Yeah.
He looked like he was obeying Hightower by burning all of Damon's
Right.
troops, and then just
Yeah.
fuck you too. I'm gonna burn
And
you as
what
well.
and
So
what was great was they finally had a villain that you wanted to see. Like, I don't think being killed once is good enough for him, and
yeah,
they found multiple ways to
And he
kill him,
did.
and they did. Yeah, so that was like so
I
perfect.
read an interview with the actor where he said, "I heard in advance there was all this chattering that I was going to have a particularly delicious death." Writing when he read about it.
I love it.
So
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
kudos to that guy. He was a
Yeah.
one season villain, and what an impact he made. And
yes,
and
Fantastic.
I think I told you last week. I said I don't see this guy making it because he
yeah,
is overestimating grossly his own abilities.
Oh
mhm.
yeah.
He's so arrogant that he has the ultimate Achilles heel. His kryptonite is bad smells. And yet he's going to stand in the middle of a fight, of a battle.
Yeah.
Does he even know what that's going to smell like? I mean, if there was ever a person not equipped to really survive the actual on the ground, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
it's
him.
this guy. Yeah, and they showed that
yeah,
when those assassins got so close, and he didn't even know what was the issue
Yeah.
yeah,
until Gawain, tipped him off. But
Yeah, it tipped him off, exactly.
yeah. But that was
Oh.
hilarious that, yeah, he would have died of anaphylactic shock to the northerner blood if he hadn't died from the dagger and the dragon fire. And also, kudos to the use of the shield there. When you lose your arm and you just got your shield on,
yeah.
and or that was before he lost his arm, but yeah, he fucked him up with that shield. That was nice. I
Ronnie
was
the Ruin he
They
went out
really
on
brought
a
a
real high point.
they brought a lot of cool stuff about medieval warfare into this episode and just threw a lot at it. My favorite scene, I think, from the battle was when they took out the gate, and then
Yes, that was
Damon, for some reason, this is another complaint I have because I just don't understand the sense of it. Why did Damon ride through the gate first on
because
a
he's
horse?
freaking Damon.
Yeah.
But why?
He's
And
been
I think the
waiting
only
for
thing that
this.
saved him,
He
the only thing that
couldn't
saved him was that
burn, so he's
armor.
going to ride in on his big black stallion. I mean,
Yep.
he couldn't burn the place. So
I know, but there's like
what are you gonna
8,000 arrows and stuff waiting for whoever goes through first.
Yeah,
And
you would think.
and those nobles next to him got
Okay.
mowed down. And
I style us gods, Rhaenyra, he said.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to ride in on his big stallion when he
you
can't
think it's
go
just
in
you
on
wanted the
his
headline? I rode through the gate first. That's the only thing that was important to him.
his blood.
But here's the thing. I think he's worth more on Caraxes than
Yes.
100 troops.
That was
So
his
why do you get
problem.
off
That
of
cost-
Caraxes?
That helped cost them the battle, was because he wasn't up there to fight Ulf.
I know.
Correct?
He's always talking
Yes,
about we have the ultimate weapon. Why don't you freaking use it, dude? And if he had just stayed on it, because I have a feeling he knew stuff was going south when the blacksmith guy showed up. Remember, he said, "Isn't he supposed to be watching our rear or whatever? Isn't he supposed to be at
Yeah.
Dragonstone?" And then he started staring at the walls, and that's when he said, "Get me, Caraxes, form up on me. We're going in." I think he started to feel like this shit's
Yeah.
not going to plan, and this is not how I saw it. But yeah, he was phenomenal in this. I mean, it just shows you if they do a series about Aegon the Conqueror, if you made it like that, it would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
But of course, like I said, Aegon the Conqueror really only did a couple of sieges and stuff. Most of the time,
Yeah.
people just surrendered
He was
to
just
him before
burning
anything
them, or
happened.
they were bending the knee. Okay, let's wrap up by giving our rating.
Our ratings. Yep.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
You want to go, Greta? You want to go?
What? Oh, what was this? 7 and 8? Episode 7 and 8?
Mm-hmm.
I'll give 7 and 8, and I'll give 8 and 9. just add one to each number.
Yeah, there
Okay,
you go.
Carillion.
Exact same. I'm going
Me too.
8 on episode 7, and I'll really have 9
Yeah.
for episode 8.
So we finally all agreed for
We all
once.
agree for once. All right.
So an 8 and a 9 for episode 7 and 8. Yay!
Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
where they lacked sense and where things didn't add up, and I couldn't, I have some heavy questions about why a character would do this or that. It made up for it in entertainment value. Like the questions of, can we bring these two brothers together? Their interaction kind of made up for it. And should Daemon stay on the dragon or not? If he had, we wouldn't have had Ulf being able to be
Yeah.
what he was,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Right.
I should say in the book that both Ulf and Hugh turned and used the
oh really?
dragons against
I thought
Rick's
Orman
forces.
was going to reveal him as the secret. Well, because as soon as he showed up, I thought, oh, that's why they let us know about Ulf, because they didn't let us know about the
Yeah.
other guy. And I
Mm.
thought
Yeah.
that was going to be the big reveal, but honestly, I think he's just going to hold a grudge over his
Yeah,
wife
I think
being
so too. At some
killed.
point, he's got to turn, but in the book, it was at this battle that he contributed along with Ulf to destroying the Mirror's
But
army.
I gotta give her Cat or whatever. I just gotta give her the Darwin Award for this season because who stays there when you came to get her and said, "I'm a dragon lord, let's get out of here." Even if she's like, she should have gone with him, and then once they're in a civilized city in a way, then you go, "Oh, by the way, I want a divorce." You don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't do it when you're in the enemy stronghold where your brother just got freaking murdered
You
just
get
for
on the
being
back of
there.
your husband's dragon and fly out of
Yeah,
it.
and you're in this incredibly tense
Exactly.
situation where all the guards hate you because you didn't allow yourself to get raped or whatever. It's, yeah, I think that was pretty dumb. That was,
Yeah, very dumb.
yeah.
I didn't agree with that scene at
But
all. I thought that was
overall,
terrible.
I think
She seemed
for
way
me,
smarter than that.
this season wasn't as strong, maybe as previous season for every episode. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the final season. I
Me
think these
too.
last
Yeah.
two episodes kind of set that up, at least things I'm expecting really well.
Hmm.
I would
So,
just say this. I would have changed. I would have less Harrenhal, less of the conversations between Melissaria and Alicent and stuff like that, and just the repeated attempts of the different queens to escape. And
yeah, that
I
dragged
think a
on.
couple of scenes could have told us what we needed out of that. And then I would have liked to have seen more scenes with all these like the Archer woman
Yeah,
and
she's cool.
the Winter Wolves and
Hmm.
even the kid that was leading the Riverlands army. I wanted to
Hmm.
see
Oh, with
more from him
Tully,
because
yeah.
yeah, he was real interesting last year.
Hmm.
And I was and also and the guy who was fighting Damon at the end, I had to ask you who he was.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like Sir Thugalocked. It's like he
Yeah, that was
just
just the right hand
shows
man
up.
of
Yeah.
Tormund. Yeah.
Carillion, do
Of
you have
Ormond.
any final thoughts?
Yeah, just looking forward to the next season, the final season. I enjoyed the season a lot. I just in a way, you almost say it's compared to what else is out there. It really doesn't have a high mark, to be the best show on television right now.
You're
But
right.
that's what it is for me. It's been a while since I've looked that forward to a show each week when it comes out.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see what the wrap up
Widow's Bay.
and I'm looking forward to
Widow's
next
Bay,
year.
watch Widow's Bay.
Widow's Bay is better. Yeah, it's better.
Okay, and then I'm also looking forward to Knights of the
Okay.
Seven Kingdoms.
Yes,
So
Yeah.
Night of the
yeah,
Seven
season two of
Kingdoms of it.
that.
Yay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
All
I'll
right.
turn it
Well,
back over to you to wrap up for us,
all right.
Brian.
Well, that's going to be a wrap for us. So, thanks for liking, subscribing, and doing all that. And let us know what you think in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, we're definitely looking forward to next season as well as Knights of the Seven Kingdoms. And we'll be back soon for another episode of some sort of topic. We'll come up with something. We always have something to talk about, as you know. But thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
From the north.
Look at what your filthy hands have wrought. Right after he got finished saying, "Go die with the other rats."
Yes, exactly.
The war will be over when your buttocks are on a spike and not before. It's like that should be the most hated person in the room easily, but you're sort of like, yeah, let's get it on. Yeah, we came all this way. What we came this way for a piece of something, not peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.